Hopefully next summer you're like getting ready for school and you're just going to be like sipping wine
Yeah.
and having popcorn, like, look at my mock interview. This is good,
Yes. Yes. I hope so.
with all your friends who also got in. But anyway, so you had one actual interview and you got rejected, and you don't think you did super well?
No, I think that it was like a different style interview, but I didn't think I prepared well. I
Mhm.
didn't practice any of my answers out loud, which I think reflecting back, I definitely should have because it's very different to like articulate what you're saying and what's
Yeah.
in your head. And then it was three different like short interviews, kind of like MMI style, I guess, but it was 10 minutes long with three different interviewers. And I never like connected to an interviewer. And I didn't feel like they really asked anything about my application, which I kind of expected them to. But yeah,
Mhm. So you don't feel like you were prepared, you didn't like practice kind of getting your thoughts together and then delivering them
no, not at all. That's why I'm here.
while you're here? Okay. Yeah, it's like a lot of people do kind of go into it thinking like, okay, I know my application, I know why I want to go to the school and why I want to be a PA. I should just be able to say this, without problems. And then they get there and all the pressure, and then they just freeze, or something happens. So it's like practice, practice, practice.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, I recommend anybody going for one of these dual mock interview. It doesn't have to be with me. There's like colleges will do them for free. Your admissions advisor, might do it for free. But just practice, like getting your thoughts together and out into the universe.
Hmm.
Um, so with all that being said, your upcoming interview is going to
Hmm.
have an individual portion, and it's not blind. So they've looked at your application, they know all about you. And then there's going to be a group activity
Yes.
and also a writing sample, if I heard correctly.
I don't think they wrote that. I saw on Reddit that like in the past they've used that.
Mhm.
But in the email it didn't say that there was a writing portion.
Okay.
So I don't
Maybe.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, usually they'd warn you about that, but they might just drop it on you.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, you prepare for the writing the same way that you prepare for a normal interview. You just practice writing short essays, get 100 PA questions, just like practice with a prompt. It's
Okay.
the exact same thing. So with that being said, we're going to do your individual interview based on your transcript and your CASP application.
Okay. Cool.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Question one. So first things first, Kelsey, thank you for taking the time to come all the way up here to upstate New York, where it's probably freezing. We appreciate you making the time.
Cool. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. First question, how would your best friend describe you?
I think my best friend would probably describe me as super driven. I think that if I set my mind to something, I'm going to achieve it. One of my goals throughout undergrad was to become a teaching assistant for specifically anatomy because originally you probably read this in my application, but originally I was on track to become a teacher, and I realized that that wasn't really encapsulating my love for medicine at the same time. So I kind of got the best of both worlds with becoming a teaching assistant, but there's a lot of people who apply for that position and they only take on a certain amount of people. So I was really driven to actually get that role. So I worked hard for it. I did like my own studying practice, like lessons that I would teach, and I ended up getting the job.
So you were kind of competing for that job?
Yeah, it was like kind of a competition because they have a couple like I went to UCF, which is the second largest public university in the country,
Mhm.
and human anatomy is the largest course that they have. They enroll 1,300 students, so 1,300 students have the opportunity to like apply for this role.
Just give me a few seconds to type down some notes
Yeah, you're good.
for your response. Um, okay. And can you explore a little bit on wanting to be a teacher initially and then wanting to practice medicine? Like, how did those things square? What made you do from one to the other?
Yeah, so I grew up with my mom as a teacher. She was a teacher and a high school field hockey coach. So me and my sister kind of grew up in that educator household, and we both really looked up to her. We actually both had dreams of wanting to be a teacher. We were either in the basement playing school or like killing each other on the field hockey field. It was one or the other. My sister actually followed through in her dream, but I realized like coming out of high school that that probably I wasn't confident that that was for me. I knew I liked teaching, but I wasn't really confident that that was my purpose and my passion. And it was actually COVID-19 that like sparked my interest in medicine. And then I realized that I could have like the best of both worlds if I wanted to. And then once I did my shadowing, my patient care experience, I realized that like medicine is really what I wanted to do, and teaching could just be like an add-on or like a second thing that I could do, like be a preceptor or something.
Sure. Okay. Switching gears a little bit here. Can
Mhm.
you tell me what kind of people can you absolutely not work with?
Um, I think I can't work with people who can't work in a group, who can't really collaborate. Nobody can do anything by themselves. I always make the analogy that there's nothing that works better than a well-oiled machine, and a well-oiled machine needs all its parts. So if you can't collaborate effectively to be like a functioning member of the team to get our best product, I'm probably going to be a little frustrated with you. But I think if I was ever challenged with that, I would probably just use open communication to kind of bring that person in and maybe like try delegating certain tasks to certain people so that they kind of feel like they're working on their own, but they're actually contributing to the overall group.
Can you give an example of how you might have done that?
Yeah, so actually, in my senior year of college, I took a research intensive course, and we had to come up with our own like research project and do everything that we would to like write a real research thesis, except obviously perform the experiment. And I was working in a group of five, and there were two members who kind of weren't really picking up their slack. And I kind of took the leadership role to kind of delegate the roles and be like, this needs to be done by this time so that we can like put out our best product.
Did that work out for you guys?
Yeah, we got an A minus, so I think it worked out.
Okay. Can you tell me, hypothetically, if you started struggling in one or more class in PA school, what would you do?
Um, I would definitely ask for help, whether that be my classmates or coming to a faculty member. I think it's really important to ask for help because we have a lot of resources in place to help you, whether that be your classmates or like faculty members to do that. I've actually experienced this in my undergrad. Um, when I was in physics, I was like struggling. I think my first test I got like a C, and I had like that's not normal for me. And I remember seeking out the professor because there were no TAs for the course, and asking for help. And he kind of helped me on the side, gave me some study tips, and I kind of readjusted the way I was studying. And I eventually got an A in the course.
Can you tell me about those study tips? What exactly did you implement that helped you?
Yeah, so I actually started reading the textbook. I found that like throughout my undergrad that reading the textbook really worked for me, which is kind of weird because most people that doesn't really work for. So reading the textbook and kind of practicing those problems really worked for me.
Okay. Why do you think you'd be a good fit for this program?
Um, so, oh, I don't know where you went.
Huh?
Sorry, I can't like see you.
You can't see me?
Um, no, I think like my computer glitched. Okay, there we go. So a little bit about my background. I grew up in New Bedford, Massachusetts, which is a very diverse coastal city in Massachusetts. Beautiful, you should visit. But they have a very high immigrant population, and I think it's 1 in 5 people live below the poverty line. So from when I was like really little, I was kind of accustomed to struggling families. When I started getting my patient care experience, I realized that this struggle that these families were dealing with was also translating into effects on their health. And a lot of the time, it was like a lack of primary care. So we had multiple patients that would come into. I worked as CNA on the med surg unit, and they would come in with like necrotic toes that need to be amputated because of their uncontrolled diabetes because they're not getting that care from their primary care provider. And looking at these patients, obviously their physiology is failing, but if you look at the whole person, the whole patient, it's probably like a financial or lack of resources boundary that's preventing this person from being healthy. So I think I really align with this school's like mission to treat the whole person and be a person to care for someone. And I think that my like leadership skills would really enhance the larger class size. I mean, a larger class size is a larger community. So my leadership skills that I've learned through teaching and tutoring um, would really contribute to the school. I also really like the medical humanities class, and I think that my background could really contribute to facilitating good conversation because I think I bring like a unique perspective to the table as well.
You mentioned, you said leadership skills from teaching and from tutoring and how that would kind of help the class. Can you think of maybe a specific scenario that you guys might encounter where that would help?
Well, I think anatomy is something that a lot of students struggle with. I know, like, I worked really hard in my undergrad to not struggle through it. And I can see if I saw in the future, I assume that gross anatomy is also really hard. I know this school has a cadaver lab, so that's always a challenging aspect to anatomy. And I think that my like background knowledge of that core basic anatomy that maybe some students might have like forgotten, or it hasn't been a long time since they touched that material, would really help like my classmates. And I think it's really hard to be able to articulate certain things in a way that people will learn. And I have experience doing that in my teaching assistant role. There was a class of 48 kids, and you had to stand at the front and use your models and teach them. So it's kind of incorporating all learning styles into one thing to be able to articulate what you're saying.
If you had to pick, what's your learning style? Are you visual? Are you auditory? Are you more written?
Um, I don't know. I think I'm more like a written person. Definitely like, actually, I don't know. I think I learn in all different ways, to be honest. Um, I think with certain things, I learn in certain ways. So with physics, auditory wasn't working for me. Sitting in the class, I wasn't like doing well, as I referenced that earlier. So kind of like the written style and that, I think it's finding my niche in the specific course that I'm in and adjusting to that. I think is my best like way of retaining information.
Okay. How do you handle stress?
I think to handle stress, it's really important to have outlets. Obviously, I was taking like major science courses all at one time in your undergrad and you, and I was working at the same time. There were a lot of things to juggle, right? So I think it's a really important to have outlets. I personally like to exercise. I was really athletic when I was young. Grew up like playing team sports. So I kind of like to keep doing that. I think that's a great de-stress for me. So I like to lift or like go on a run and like play pickleball with my friends to kind of get my mind off what's stressing me out. I also have like a support system where I can vent to them. I think that's really important for me to just get it out. Um, I remember in the spring of 2023, I was having a really stressful semester because I was taking a ton of science heavy courses and I was working on the night shift. And I am a morning person through and through, and working night shift, staying up all night was like the worst thing for me. It was super hard. So for me, like that, to lean on my support system, like they really helped me through it. And having those outlets really like um, kept me through. And I ended up with a 4.0 that semester. So it must have worked.
How exactly did your support system help you with this?
I really just need a listening ear. I don't really need much from them, just for them to listen. I actually live in Florida now, and all my family lives in Massachusetts. So the only time I really talk to them is over the phone. So it's more just like venting to them.
Okay. Can you define success and define failure?
I think this is super subjective. I think it's really important to set goals and meet goals. And obviously, when you achieve a goal, that's success, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's failure when you don't um, reach that goal, because failure is just redirection. Um, Kind of reflecting on what you do and kind of readjusting what you do, and then to try to see like to reach that goal again. Um, I think that there's many like few things in this world that's failure. It's just redirection.
Okay. And this is me as the interviewer, not me as myself. Do
Okay.
you have any questions for us?
Yes, I would like to know if you have mentorship in um, your program between your first year and your second year students, and how that works.
And any other questions?
Yeah, so like in my undergrad, I was really big, like involved in the community. So I actually volunteered for Shepherd's Hope, which is like a service to help the uninsured people get healthcare. And I was wondering if your school has any partnerships with like organizations in the area to like help me like be able to volunteer elsewhere.
right. That's the end of that portion.
Okay.
Yep. We'll do the group activity in a bit. How'd you feel?
I think I did better in the mock interview than I did in my actual interview, my first one.
Okay.
A lot of the questions that you asked me, I was not prepared for, so I was just kind of winging it. Because I obviously I have like a template where I have a bunch of questions that I should like practice because they're common questions. But some of the ones you were asking, I wasn't really prepared for. But I felt okay about it. I think I did like maybe, yeah, just okay. We'll go with that.
Yep. I mean, a lot of things were good.
Okay.
Certainly a lot of things were good. Your presentation, your vibe, your professionalism, the way you spoke was just very clear, very comforting. Like I would trust you acting the way you are as my provider.
Okay.
Right? Like you walk into a room, that's how I would kind of tell people to act is act the way that you do with patients. You know, it's just a big hack. Don't treat the interviewer like your best friend. Don't treat them like someone who's like your executioner and you're just like trying to be super stiff and nervous, not making a mistake, right?
Okay.
Treat them like a patient, confident, but at the same time, very welcoming, warm, that kind of thing, which I think you have a perfect vibe for that.
Okay.
So very, very good. That's hard to teach. The things that I really wish you would have done was give more lengthy, more detailed, more example-laden responses.
Okay.
You were really, really quick with a lot of them. Usually I'm able to get through like 5 questions. I think I got through like 8. You know, they were just super short. And if you notice, my follow-on questions are things that I wish you would have included in your original response.
Yeah, I did notice that. I was like, I should have said that the first time around.
So you kind of got an inkling when I started asking that. And especially like a second time, it's like, oh man, maybe that should have been in there too.
Yes.
So yeah, one common like problem that people have is treating this like a test. Like this is a question, I must deliver an answer. That's it. Like it's more of a conversation. So that's why here, let's go question by question. Unless you just want to do the group interview type thing, MMI type question, and then do all the feedback.
It's up to you. I don't care.
I think we should do this, and then we should do the other one because we have so much time because you answered so quickly, so it should work. You know? Let's share my screen real quickly. There we go. Do you feel like you could have been a little bit more descriptive?
Yes, for the most part. Like the failure and success, I was like, I have no idea what to say. I just kind of BS that answer. But like for like the first one, I feel like I gave a lot of detail kind of, but I don't know if I like do a good job of like synthesizing it all together.
Yeah. I don't know if I would agree that this had a lot of detail.
Okay.
So like, how would your best friend describe you? I'll go kind of like on the theory of why I asked the questions that I did and which the like 4 basic questions there are. But this one is basically like, tell me about yourself, which if they haven't already asked you, you can kind of go into why you want to be a PA.
Okay.
Right. So tell me about yourself. Sometimes I ask this question with, tell me about yourself and why you want to be a PA. So how would your best friend describe you? Tell me about yourself. What was growing up in Massachusetts like? Anything that's about you is basically tell me about you and why you want to be a PA.
Okay.
That's how you hear that question. All right. So like I said, you're testing your communication skills and also bonus points if you can somehow segue it into PA.
Okay.
So super driven, teaching assistant, you talked about that. And then I was like, okay, so you're kind of competing for this position. You said yes. That's when you said there's 1,300 students. It's a big class. I had the opportunity and I won it and I was proud of myself, all of which could have been, the original response.
Right.
And then I said, okay, tell me more about the teaching thing, because that's really interesting. Like why medicine, why not teacher? And you gave a good response to that. What was cool was like this, like personal, memorable details finally came out here. My mom was a teacher. We grew up in a teacher's household. We were like either beating each other up on the field hockey court, or we were, practicing teaching. Like that's cool. That's charming. That's memorable. Right? It makes you unique. So that's the kind of stuff I really wish you would have talked about.
Okay.
Right. And then if you can wedge this in there, because essentially our role is teaching.
Right.
People think our role is doling out antibiotics. Mostly our role is like, hey, no, that's viral. Let me teach you about the disease process and, how to prevent it. That kind of thing. So yeah, like practicing medicine essentially is teaching unless you're doing surgery. So I would probably work on this response, why PA and like about yourself, and try to make this the theme. Like super random example, but have you ever watched Game of Thrones?
No,
Never watched Game of Thrones?
no.
Oh my God. Okay. Not Game of Thrones. Have you ever watched a show or read a book where like something comes together and it's been that way all along and all the clues line up and then you get freaking chills?
Yes. I read, I don't know if you read, you probably don't, but like Frida McFadden, like her books are like that, where
Yeah.
like everything makes sense at the end. Yeah.
But when that finally happens, don't you get like chills? Like you're like, oh my God, it's just like everything comes together.
Yeah. And I couldn't stop reading the book.
Yeah. So I still want to use my Game of Thrones example, but
You can. It's okay. I'll
what I'm
figure it
going
out.
it's going to be a spoiler alert. So if you ever watch it, sorry, unless you really don't
Okay.
want to spoil it.
It's okay. You can
This is
spoil it for
valuable.
me.
So there's this like really gigantic guy named Hodor, and like
Mhm.
all he ever says, he's like a Pokemon. He's like Hodor, Hodor, and so like he's really pleased, he's happy, he's like Hodor, and then he's scared of Hodor, right? But he only says his name. And
Mhm.
then they went into his backstory, and he was this big kid who was normal, he could talk, and he had like a seizure, this like big whatever, like freak out moment, and then he just kept saying, hold the door, and it turned into Hodor. And then like
Oh.
seasons later, when all these zombies are trying to like break down the door, they're like, hold door or Hodor, hold the door. And he's like holding this door while all these zombies are trying to kill these kids and like they're like stabbing him and shit. And he's like dying, but that's his destiny. He's like Hodor, right?
Okay.
And like even saying this now, I'm getting chills because
Mhm.
like his whole life just got encompassed in this one thing. And that's what I want you to do.
Okay.
If you tell
Okay.
your story that way, it's going to be so memorable.
Okay.
So this exact thing I really want you to do when you watch this back. I
Mhm.
want you to prepare a question to tell me about yourself and or why you want to be a PA with this.
Okay.
Okay? So
Yes.
something along the lines of like, you know, my mom was a teacher. I grew up in a teacher's household, which I don't know if your mom was a teacher, but we had rules and this is how things were. And like, no, I didn't have to raise my hand to go to the bathroom, but it was pretty close. It was really strict. Me and my sister really wanted to be like mom because we really like respected her and we like played teacher. Sometimes we beat each other up, but usually we played teacher. And like people are already laughing as you're talking about this, right?
Mhm.
And then you go, okay, and then COVID-19 happened, and this one very specific thing happened, like someone died of pneumonia, or I don't know.
Mhm.
And I realized like if they had only known to X, Y, and Z. So then that's when it kind of clicked for me, like medicine, practicing medicine really is teaching just at the highest level when it matters the most. And that's when I realized like that's what I've been kind of training for my whole life.
Okay. I don't think I have all those answers prepared and I wrote like kind of what you just said like in my personal statement, but like answering this question, I didn't think that that's what you wanted me to say, like go into YPA. That
Mhm.
makes sense.
Do you think it would be more powerful and memorable if you just talked about I'm super driven and this is one small example, or all of that?
All of that for sure.
How would your best friend describe you? You know, super driven. I've always blah 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 teaching in anatomy, and I've always like wanted to be a teacher, and then you just literally segue into this answer that you've already prepared.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
kind of the strategy that I teach with all my mock interviews is you only want to have an answer for four basic questions. Tell me about yourself and why PA. That's one question. Why this school, which just proves that you researched the school, which you did an exemplary job. Tell me about a time when you struggled academically and specifically how you got better, which gives
Okay.
me confidence in your ability academically, which you must, you know, because it's a hard
Mhm.
program.
Right.
And also, how do you handle interpersonal conflict?
Okay.
Right? Those four things, I want you to have a very solid response with very tangible, specific examples. And then the rest of the strategy is just finding ways to segue into one of those four prepared responses.
Okay.
That's it. If
Okay.
you have
That
those
makes
four
sense.
prepared responses, that is it.
Okay.
Do you feel like that's easier than just like practicing like hundreds of questions?
Yes. Way easier.
Yep. And then all you're doing is like looking for the opportunity. You kind of like skillfully maneuver that way. And then boom, now you're in like a response that you've already prepared. And you just
Mhm.
sound super confident and it sounds natural. Like you got there and just made it up on the spot because the segue
Right.
is different.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah, that's going to be the overarching strategy.
Okay.
Do you feel like that makes sense? That's a good strategy?
Yeah, I think I could do that. That I think it would make me feel more confident going into the interview.
Because anything they ask, literally all you have to do is segue into something you've already prepared.
Right. Right.
There's really not a whole lot of other categories of question that they can ask you.
Okay.
you think of one, let me know. But I've been doing this a long time and I can't. Okay. What kind of people can you absolutely not work with? This one was not super good. Do you feel like
Okay.
this was a good answer?
No, I didn't know how to answer this question at all.
I'll give you exactly how you answer this question. So I give you basically just two checklists for interviews. One, the one that I just gave you, those four things.
Mhm.
And the other one is answering this question. And this checklist only has two things on it.
Okay.
If you ever have a question where you must demonstrate empathy, whereas like anything negative, tell me about a time you struggled, because of a person. Who can you not work with? What kind of populations are stressful for you to work with? Tell me about a time you were criticized. Tell me about a time that a supervisor was being mean to you. Whatever. Anytime there's interpersonal tension or conflict, you only do two things: overwhelming empathy for the other person, so you take their side, you understand things like from their perspective, and overwhelming responsibility upon yourself.
Okay.
So it can never be their fault. It's all your fault. You understand their side wholeheartedly, and then you talk about how you could be better or could have been better.
Okay.
Those two things, nothing else.
Okay.
Okay?
That makes sense.
Yep. And the reason for this is, are you easy to work with? If something happens, if there's tension, if a professor screws up, which happens, if another student screws up, one of your preceptors, whatever, they need you to be very easy to work with to make their life easier and not cause
Okay.
problems.
Okay. I can see where you're going with this.
Yep. And it's the same thing while you're working, while you're in medicine, while whatever. Your medical assistant is super rude. They are not doing what you say. You still got to treat the patients. You have to be able to rise above and take care of the patient. You must, right? So those two things, that's the only thing that you do anytime you even like smell a whiff of interpersonal conflict.
Okay.
So do you want to try this one over again with just those two things in your mind?
Do you think that the example I used is good or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Then I would probably like kind of I would like lead with the example probably, and then like talk about how they're like the two members weren't pulling their weight. I tried to like talk to them and they said like they had something going on, like I empathized with them, whatever. I kind of cut the work with them in half to like you just do a little bit more and then I'll take on a little bit more responsibility, I guess. Something like that.
Yeah. I would come at that question with your particular example from the perspective of the people that were pulling their weight.
Okay.
And also don't label the people that were not pulling their weight as lazy or that were not pulling their weight. You can say that that's how they were perceived.
Okay.
You're never, ever, ever, ever blaming them. You're just
Okay.
saying like, well, I perceived this, and me and a couple other group members kind of perceived that, group members 4 and 5 were perhaps not working as hard as we were. And so, that could be frustrating. And I really wanted the team to work well together. So I wanted my other group members to not feel that way.
Okay.
And so I kind of took the initiative. I didn't want anyone complaining or there to be any tension. So I broke the ice and I talked to these people individually saying, look, this is how some other people feel. What's going on? Can I help you in some way? Are you just like overloaded? It's totally okay. We're a team. We're going to get through this together. But I just really want to make sure everyone, sees things from everyone's perspective.
Okay.
It's super duper objective.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Does that kind of make more sense?
Yes. Yes.
So in your particular example, that's probably what I would say. I do like this.
Okay.
Just also demonstrate understanding that sometimes someone will be more competent or will have more time or whatever, and you still got to get through it. So I would focus on like how other people felt and just trying to like help everybody, demonstrating the tension in that and what you did.
Okay.
And just never, ever, ever make anybody like seem wrong or bad.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, that's how I probably go with that. Did you want to, keeping that in mind, do you want to try this one again?
We got to come back to it.
We'll highlight it. We can highlight it in yellow.
Thank you.
Okay. Next. So what would you do if you started struggling in one or more classes in PA school? They might pick out from your transcript. I saw you had a withdrawal and I saw you had a C. I think OChem you withdrew and then you got an A and then you got a C.
Micro.
So the easiest way for them to do it would be to just pick one of those out.
Okay.
I don't really, one of those doesn't bother me. So I would probably just say, I want a general response for how you would do it if you were struggling, and then you would pick the example that you would want to use.
Okay.
So you did. I didn't even look at the physics one.
Okay.
So this was pretty good.
Okay.
Let's see. So I kind of want you to have this kind of explanation for any and all bad classes, C, withdrawal,
Okay.
and just be ready to talk about it. So here, I spoke with a professor because there was no TAs. They helped me. They gave me study tips. How? I read the book, practicing problems from the book. So I would have wanted much more detail.
Okay.
Because they may not even ask a follow-on. They might be like, oh, okay, study tips, 7 out of 10, moving on. Right?
Okay.
Whereas if you would have spelled it out, like put me in the room with you there and like, okay, exactly what did you do? You wrote this on the whiteboard. You skimmed the book. You looked at the figures first, and if you had time, you'd go back and go do more, or you would like look at the questions and the explanations and then kind of started finding similar questions. And that really helped you like exactly what did you do?
Okay.
Specifically.
Okay.
Right? So can you think of something that you did like very specifically reading the book, or like what really made the difference?
Yeah, I would like read the textbook and make my own like study guide outline type of thing. And then kind of quiz myself on what I knew, and then like rewrite the study guide of just the stuff that I didn't know. And then when I worked on the questions, if I like came across a question that I would struggle with, I would just revisit in my study guide.
Okay, you could do that. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. So just, specific stuff like that. Maybe OChem, like why did you withdraw the first time?
It's because I was like working nights and all my other classes were like really hard, and I knew that they were like not going to be, I wasn't going to get a really good grade in all of them. So like I knew that like I had more time in the summer, so I withdrew from OChem and then just took it in the summer.
Strategic move. So it
Yeah.
wasn't you were struggling in that class. That's just kind of the one that had to go because one had to go.
Yes.
Okay. And then obviously you got an A, so not
Mm-hmm.
really a whole lot there. What happened with micro?
In micro, I had to miss an exam, and she wouldn't give me like an excuse because I had to like fly home and I wasn't going to be there for the exam. So just like right there, I like, but I couldn't withdraw because I was applying to school and like I needed that course. So I was just like, whatever, I just had to take the bad grade, but I still had to like work hard for the C because the class was really hard. It was 5 credits.
Because you were down a whole exam.
Yeah.
You had to fly home, I'm assuming, for like a family emergency or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. So I would probably really practice your answer to that one using the tips that I gave you for the interpersonal conflict.
Okay.
She wouldn't let me retake the exam. I don't know if I'd necessarily say that.
Like maybe just that I made like I had come to her with the conflict and she had told me like she wouldn't give me a retake, but I made the personal decision that like my family emergency was more important because that's kind of what happened.
Why wouldn't she let you, like, why didn't she understand that?
Because there was like I couldn't have given her like proof of what was happening, and she's just like not nice. So,
Oh,
but like she's known for that stuff, so like I kind of knew it was coming, but
yeah, you just kind of can't say that.
yeah, right.
I mean, everybody would understand that like these things happen, but it would be much more diplomatic if you didn't. So frame it in the way of, this was an example of where I really just had to choose, being home for a family emergency over a class. Unfortunately, there was no way for me to retake an exam that I missed. So this C is actually a 5 credit class where it was like, find a better way to say it, but like where this was basically me getting a 0 out of 100 on one of the exams because of a family emergency.
Okay.
So the percentage for this class is actually much higher than 80%. But I was physically not there for an exam and I was not able to make it up.
Okay. Do
Based
you
on
think that if they ask a question like this, I should bring up like these instances, like the withdrawal and well, not really the withdrawal because I wasn't really struggling, but like the C or I should go with like an example like this.
I would probably go with the physics one
Okay.
because the whole reason we're not looking for an explanation of every single bad grade. we're looking for, if this happens in PA school, a C is not acceptable. You need a B or better. Otherwise, you're decelerated and or just out of the program, right? So if you're looking at possibly getting a C, you have to be able to fix it. And we want like tangible examples of how you've been there in the past and how you fixed it.
Okay.
You know, and like even more bonus points going from 8 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 would be like, if this happens in PA school, I'm going to catch it early. And the first thing I'm going to do is X, Y, and Z, right?
Okay.
Realize that, you know, the standards are this, and everybody wants to graduate. Everyone wants to get through the program. That's my first goal. So I'm going to immediately take early action, talk to the professor, see what I'm doing wrong, talk to people who are doing well, make a plan immediately and fix it that day.
Okay.
Like, I want you to say things like that.
Okay.
The last thing you want is someone like 3 exams in and, oh, now I'm asking for help and now it's too late.
Yeah.
Right. So communicate that you're very proactive and you know tangibly exactly what you will do.
Okay.
Yeah. If they ask you about that class specifically, then yeah, think of a very good diplomatic answer.
Okay.
But this is the purpose of any like low grade kind of a question.
Okay. Cool.
You know, yeah. Does that kind of make sense? So you're kind of.
Yeah. Cause I don't think I would know how to like spin that to be like, oh, I was like in that question. So, but I get what you're saying. Cause like these questions, it's hard to think like there's a reason why they're asking you this. And like, as the interviewee, you don't think of that. So I think this is helping.
Yep. So that's usually the motivation for asking about a bad grade. But in that particular one, it's going to be, honestly, I didn't actually struggle with the content in this one. That C is because I only was able to take 4 out of the 5 exams because I had to fly home for an emergency. And unfortunately was not able to even make up the 5th exam due to, you know, the class policy.
Okay.
Something like that. Just be extremely diplomatic.
Okay, cool.
No matter how many follow-on questions they ask you, you're never going to be like, the professor was a bitch. She's known for being a bitch.
That's what I'm thinking, though.
It's what you're thinking, but I don't want you to even subcommunicate it. I want 0 out of 10 butthurt.
Okay.
Perfectly diplomatic. It's not her fault. Nothing's her fault. It's all on Kelsey.
We love her. Yep.
Yeah. Totally. You don't have to say that, but yeah. So see what I'm saying? Like, just you're gonna make very objective, neutral language on anything where someone did shitty things to you.
Okay.
You know, you're a consummate professional.
Okay.
Okay. Why do you think you're a good fit for this program? I think this was exemplary. Like,
okay.
10 out of 10. Yeah, this was cool. So first things, like, I didn't really know where you were going with this because it's like, why this program? And you're like, well, I grew up on a coastal city. Like, what? But then, like, this was really charming. You're like, hey, you should visit. I really like that you said that. Very diverse, many struggling populations. This was good. Poor health outcomes. You know, the tangible example, amputated toes, uncontrolled diabetes. You know, we all understand that.
Yeah.
So very, very good example. Good about, like, you know, personally where you grew up, this kind of thing. You should visit. All of that. Loved it. My leadership skills would help in class community. This was good. I kind of did want more examples here.
Okay.
So that's why I asked you.
Right.
I also like the medical humanities. My background can contribute to some good conversation. Yeah. And like this, I would have said, well, what about examples? But you already gave one.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So good. I like that. Yeah, like this, I would say 8 to 9 out of 10. If you would have maybe gave a quick example here, 10 out of 10. Like very, very good.
Okay, cool.
My leadership skills from X, Y, and Z, because you're not running out of time. This probably took you like a minute and a half. You could have taken 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
All right. So leadership skills, this is good. I know A and P is going to be one of the hardest classes that we have to take. So I actually tutored in this and helped other people with their learning styles. This is like, I don't know how to say it, but people like hearing about this.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
Like different people, like helping people with different learning styles. Definitely talk about this if you can.
Okay.
So why this program? Why do you think you'd be a good fit? I really like this. And by the way, I've experienced doing this, and here's how I'll be helpful.
Okay. Cool.
This was cool. I like this. So yeah, this was good. This one, how do you handle stress? That's fair. That's all fair. So why do you think I would ask a question like this?
Because stress is inevitable. especially in PA school. And you want
Do
to
you,
make sure that I have like I have a way to handle it instead of getting overwhelmed.
do you think it would have been valuable to communicate that you understand that and maybe give an example of what you would do if you had stress in PA school?
Yeah, that'd probably been a good idea.
That you're like thinking ahead, like, all right,
Yeah,
I know this is going to be tough.
yeah,
I'm already looking at how far the gym is away from the classroom. I'm already looking at hours. I'm already looking at like, okay, I'm going to study these hours, but I'm going to make sure I get in my pickleball at 8:30 in the morning or whatever.
hmm
Um, my parents already know this is going to be hard, and I'm going to be calling them in the evening, and they're going to be available. You know, all of that. If you communicate that you're super prepared and you know it's going to be super hard, and this is exactly how you handle stress, but that's what you're going to do, that's going to make it a better answer.
okay,
Instead of like, I mean, this was totally valid question, valid answer, valid information. Like, yeah, I like pickleball, I like exercise. I vent to my parents. We all do. Uh, but like, if you would have dressed it up that way, I think it would have been more powerful.
okay,
So yeah, definitely practice that.
okay.
Let's see how exactly support system. Yeah, just a listening ear. Maybe a little example about this. Like, I moved to Florida. I just really wanted to be in the sunshine. Blah blah blah. But I really miss my parents, and just like talking about how, I don't know, my roommate didn't wash the dishes. Okay, maybe don't talk about that. But just think of an example that doesn't make somebody else look like a piece of crap.
How I miss mommy making me dinner and I have to do everything myself.
Wait, say that again.
I miss mommy making me dinner and I have to do everything myself now.
How you just like want to
But I,
complain about that?
yeah, I kind of said that because like if I live in Syracuse, it's going to be the same thing. Where like I'm already kind of like used to them not being near me, and I'm like it's okay for them to like us to just talk on the phone. It's kind of why I use that.
Mm-hmm.
So should I just explicitly say that and be like, yeah, like if I move to New York, like this is going to be kind of the same situation?
Actually, kind of, yeah, because a lot of people say like, oh, like my support system's super important to me, and I'm applying to this program because I want them close by or something. So you're kind of saying the opposite of that. You're like, I'm already living, in Florida, far away from my family, but they're super important to me. And I know, going to New York or any other program, they will not be near me. So I'm
Hmm.
already kind of like having conversations with them that, they're going to be there for me if I get stressed, just like it
Okay.
is now. I just know obviously PA school stress will be more. I don't know exactly how to say that, to be honest
Okay.
with you. I would talk about that,
Okay.
just show that you're prepared.
Hmm.
Uh, it is kind of a bonus that you're already living away from them. It's not going to be like your first time away from home, which is super stressful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I already dealt with that.
exactly. So I communicate that. That kind of puts you like on a leg up compared to a lot of other 22-year-olds, right?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a little tiny competitive edge.
Yes.
Define success, define failure. Sure. It's basically any question like this that's super vague. It's essentially a tell me about yourself kind of a thing.
Okay.
Same
Okay.
response.
Okay.
What's your favorite color? What kind of food do you bring to a dinner party? Um, I don't know, trees. Like, what's your favorite tree? I don't know, something
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
It's all tell me about yourself,
Okay.
right? So same answer. This is very subjective. Important to set goals. Achieving those goals, like you said, you just kind of winged it.
Yeah. I had no idea what to say.
Failure. I kind of like this. Failure is redirection. Like that's a pretty good little quote.
Okay.
A few things in the world are actually failure. Sure. Um, so yeah, I would have said something like this, but then segued it into more about yourself and possibly, unless you've already answered it, why you want to be a PA,
Okay.
why become a PA.
Okay.
Like for instance, success to me, in the short term would be getting into PA school. Success to me, really, it's also kind of like if you think about this, it's essentially the same question as where do you see yourself in 5 years,
Okay.
which is a super duper common question.
Hmm.
So it's like, success to me locally would be, or short term would be getting into school. But of course, success, the way I really see my life in a few years would be, having graduated, practicing in whatever field you want to practice in,
Hmm.
maybe living near the school, but perhaps even, living down here. I really like it in Florida. I
Hmm.
really want to serve this population, this kind of thing. Right.
Okay.
And that's when
And
you
then
also go ahead.
so like and then I just say like if I don't reach those goals, like it's not necessarily failure, it's just redirection on how to reach them again or try
Yeah,
to reach them again. Okay.
absolutely. Absolutely. This is a good question. And I can actually answer this. Yes, they do. As soon as you're in that first summer, you get, linked up with one of the second years, and you
Okay.
can ask all kinds of questions and they can help you.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I'm not sure if this is on their website, but if it's not, then that's a very good question.
Okay.
This one, that's a good one. Again, if it's not on their website already, or if it is, you can ask more specific questions about that.
Mhm.
You can ask if there's like organized volunteering, or if it's just like a case by case basis, or if like the whole class goes, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would have asked too, like how do you support students who are like struggling either mentally or like academically? But
Hmm.
or is that not a good question to ask because it's like I'm gonna struggle? Like I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if I necessarily ask of that one.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's almost like you're preparing to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I liked your vibe about more like I'm going to take a leadership role. I'm going to like tutor people in anatomy because I'm going to do so well.
Mhm.
I'd rather you probably come from that side of it than like I don't know.
The
I'm afraid
confidence.
to fail, and like, what do you do if I'm failing? They'd be like, well, why are you expecting to fail?
Okay.
You
Okay,
know,
yeah.
yeah. I'd rather be ultra confident than
Mhm.
worried,
Okay.
right? But yeah. So your group activity,
Mhm.
it kind of depends what they want to do, but usually it's going to be like a scenario type thing, or even I've seen silly things like put together this Jenga puzzle, and
Okay.
everyone has to put together, or like teach someone to, I don't know, put on a glove without showing them anything, like only use words, just silly stuff.
Okay.
But it's all basically working together on something, the
Okay.
easiest scenario. Did you take a look at this, at the document that I sent you?
Mm,
Did I send you this?
I don't know, maybe.
This one, the thinking out
Um,
loud method.
mm-mm. I haven't looked at it yet.
Okay. I thought maybe I didn't send you a link. I usually do.
Okay.
Uh, basically, this four-step method.
Mhm.
So this is really good in MMIs when you're just kind of not conversational, but you're just giving your piece. So you're thinking out loud. It's
Mhm.
also super good in group scenario questions.
Okay.
The reason for that is this is all you're looking for out of a response. So all you have to do instead of thinking like, oh, what do I say? Or what do I say that's more unique than that person's or whatever, you literally just try to check off in your mind which of these four has not been said yet. And that's your contribution.
Okay.
That's it. So if
Um,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
so basically, like in a case study, like if we're doing a group thing, what they're looking for is how you interact with the group, right? And like what you bring to the table.
Yeah. First things first, you
Okay.
must bring something to the table. Don't be a wallflower.
Right.
Otherwise, they don't even know anything you're saying. Second, yeah, don't be domineering, talk over people, and not let anyone else speak. Um, those are like the first two things. If
Mhm.
you can get beyond those two, you're already winning,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And so what you're actually going to contribute is one of these two things. If you speak first, all right, guys, so here's the problem. We, you know, restate the problem, what we need to do, and that's essentially it. And then if you can, without speaking too much, you can go into this or maybe even this,
Mhm.
right? If
Mhm.
you're speaking later, then you're probably going to be doing this and or this.
Okay.
So very simple. I had a girl who just got into whatever program she got into tell me that this really made a difference for her.
Okay. Cool.
She just
And
like, go ahead.
it's 60 minutes. So like what I like having trouble wrapping my brain around is how are we going to do this for 60 minutes?
The group activity.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember mine. I really don't think it was 60 minutes because a lot of it is going to be like introductions. It's going to be like go around the room. There's like six of you, and it's like, okay, tell me your name and your favorite color and where you come from or whatever. So it's like a lot
Okay.
of that. Yes, and then
Okay.
it might be like 20 minutes.
Okay. That makes me feel better.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And if not, then okay, then you have plenty of time to just do this.
Okay. Yeah. Show your skills, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay.
Like, and also their time limits are very subjective.
Okay.
Your individual might go way over. It might be super short because they're running out of time. It might be like an hour later because the interviewer like got into a really good conversation and forgot to look at the time. Like things happen.
Okay.
Just be prepared for all of it.
Okay.
But yeah, I would definitely look at this and practice it all by yourself, like with another person, but like answering all four of these and then just get ready to just bring up like 1 or 2 of them.
Okay, cool.
Right?
I think I can do that.
I know you can. So with, for example, a scenario question,
Mhm.
okay, and in an actual MMI, like you have it written down somewhere, you can look at it. In this case, they'll probably just read it back to you, or they'll like have a sheet that's being passed around.
Mhm.
So let's say it's like a super common one, right? Let's say you are a provider, you're a physician assistant working in, I don't know, the emergency room, and a Jehovah's Witness comes in and she's unconscious, and you find a card in her pocket saying that she refuses all blood transfusions, but you realize that's what she needs to survive. How do you handle this situation?
So the problem would be you're either going to give her blood or you're not going to give her blood to save her life.
That's more like that.
Okay. So identify the problem that we have an ethic. I guess that she needs life-saving treatment is the problem. She needs blood,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And she's ideologically opposed to it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
The more information, I would probably look on that card if it matches with like her ID to make sure it's her card. Um, um, I'm not fully like familiar with like the Jehovah's Witness rules because I don't follow that. I would probably like look them up to make sure like there would be no like loophole where we could get around the rule to help her. Um, is this like? Can you just repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, of course. So you're working at the emergency room. A
Mhm.
young woman comes in. She is unconscious. She's losing a lot of blood. She needs a transfusion in order to save her life. But during her processing, you find a card in her pocket saying she's a Jehovah's Witness. She refuses all blood transfusions. She's ideologically opposed to them.
Okay. So depending on how like fast she needs that blood transfusion, I would try to look to call like a family member to see if like they could put in an input or like speak on her behalf. Um, and then if like that didn't work, it would just kind of be like you either respect the patient's so like ethical ideology, even if it goes against yours, um, or you save her life and give her the blood.
And
Try to,
step.
I don't know. I don't know. But um, I would probably not give her the blood because like the patient has their own autonomy and um, like I would regardless of what I think I would respect her wishes.
Mhm. Okay. So one thing about that, you're applying to a program that's training you to be a provider, and what a provider does is we make decisions.
Right.
Right? So even if it's, morally difficult, which any scenario question is going to be morally difficult and there's no right answer,
Hmm.
you have to pick one, justify it, and stick by it.
Hmm.
You could say you're going to feel bad about it. You can say there's a lot of tension. You can say, some people might even be unhappy or whatever, but you have to pick one and be confident about it.
Okay.
Right? So that's definitely important. This, you came up with a couple.
Uh-huh.
Certainly possible. You did kind of mention something about a loophole. I don't know if I'd have phrased it that way, but certainly that's good. Like, see if there's any other life-saving measures that could possibly be done.
Hmm.
Maybe she doesn't want blood, but she's okay with plasma. You don't have to like know all this stuff because you're not a provider or anything, but
Hmm.
maybe some other possible life-saving measure. Maybe we can stop the bleeding and see if we can, do something else. You
Hmm.
know, without the medical knowledge to really know that. So a few different things, and then explain like why you picked the one that you did. That's fair. Uh, so there's a few different ways. One, you could ask the proctor or the interviewer more questions, or ask them if you're even allowed to ask questions. And
Okay.
if they say no, that's when you make assumptions,
Okay.
right? Or if you're just afraid to ask, you can just start making assumptions.
Okay.
So either way, when they give you a scenario, it's never going to have enough like really good information to make a decision.
Okay. So
Right.
like, does she have a wallet on her? Does she have an ID? Like those questions?
Yeah, like, is this even her card? Is this legal? Is this a legally binding thing? I'd probably talk to a social worker or, legal at the hospital and or
Okay.
my supervising physician or a more experienced provider who's dealt with something like this.
Okay.
So a lot of times those are two very good kind of rules of thumb to include there, at least as things to consider. Is this legal in this state? Whatever's happening.
Mhm.
Like there's something that basically ties my hands and makes me go one way or another.
Mhm.
So that's one. Two, ask somebody above you. Ask your supervising physician. Ask another colleague. Ask social work or somebody, whoever you think is
Okay.
most appropriate.
Okay.
Because we're a team,
Right.
right? So I would at least show that you're thinking about those two things.
Okay. Legality and teamwork. Got it.
Yeah. Is this even legal? Is this even this person? That
Mhm.
kind so that's definitely good. And always ask for help. You're a PA. It's not fully up to you. There's going to be somebody above you, especially in a hospital.
Mhm.
Ask for help, ask for help, ask for help. Those are always good things.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Do you
That's
see how
helpful.
that small checklist really helps you not be confused?
Yes. Yes.
You also see how you could probably use practice doing all four of those things?
Yes.
Good. How do you feel?
I definitely feel better. Like I have like a different perspective on like how to answer questions.
Mhm.
Um, and I think like none of it is like out of reach for me. Like if I practice enough, like I have a week. So if I practice enough, like I'll be able to do that.
Yeah, it's funny. You probably feel like a little bit more underprepared now,
Yes.
right? Like you feel like there's a test that you didn't study for because there is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you happen to study for this test, everyone you're competing with literally doesn't have the information you have now.
Yeah. That's what I hope.
Absolutely kill it.
I hope they don't prepare like me.
So what about phlebotomy for PCE, patient care experience for PA school? I think it's an excellent option. One, you don't see a whole lot of phlebotomists applying. Usually you see medical assistants, nurse aides, and scribes. Those are the three that I see the most. That's one. Two, it does meet the main tenets of PCE for PA school, which are you're personally responsible for some aspect of patient care. Two, you're hands-on with patients, and it doesn't get much more hands-on than phlebotomy, right? And three, you are paid. So paid isn't necessarily mandatory. Not all programs will require that. However, usually we do prefer that you're paid, that it's a paid experience. So those things. Also, personally, I would say it's kind of cool because you're going to help to reduce that stigma that PAs aren't good at drawing blood. Just kind of a stereotype that we have compared to nurse practitioners because we're not nurses first like they are. So we kind of are known to not be good at drawing blood and putting in IVs as much as they are. So you're going to help with that too, which I also appreciate.